good evening and welcome back to the Cheltenham Exchange review show for day 3 of the Cheltenham Festival. Tonight we have myself, John Evans and Ian Rayner. We're also joined by Alex Galpin, who you will have seen on our preview shows, along with Lauren Fahy, who features on the Understarters Orders Racing podcast. Before we start, I missed out on day 1 and day 2 due to work commitments, and I have to hold my hands up on a horse that I got completely wrong, and that is Constitution Hill in Supreme. What a performance that was. It was outstanding to see live. Now that's out of the way. We'll crack on with looking back at day 3 and what a dramatic start in the Turners Novices Chase, with Galopin Deschamps falling at the last. So John, we'll come to you first.
Well, what can I say? Bob absolutely hacked it, didn't he? Well, yeah, obviously I got very lucky on that, but I did buy myself a celebratory scarf as well for the Bob win, so I thought I'd put that on for this race. You obviously got very lucky. Galopin jumped really well, travelled really well for pretty much all of the race. I thought Bob actually jumped well for most of it, but then he clouted, I think it was 4 out, and that just seemed to take the sting out of him completely. And then it was just all about Galopin, wasn't it? He sort of just found another gear and he kept going away, and then obviously the last fence mishap, but Bob looked pretty tired on the running. But if you look at the times, Bob was actually 2 seconds quicker than Allaho in the Ryanair, although he was carrying £6 less and half a furlong less. So his time actually wasn't that bad, which I was quite surprised at, really, because he did look absolutely shattered coming up the running. So yeah, I mean, obviously I got the winner, but got lucky. But as for taking out of the race, I mean, where does Galopin go next season? He could go at any distance as far as I can see. It's going to be Mullins bingo yet again, isn't it? Trying to work out which distance he goes at. As for Bob, apparently had a bit of a problem after the race. So that was probably caused by the 4th out fence where he hit. But yeah, obviously happy with the winner, and there's 2 good horses in there ready for next season.
Yeah, completely agree. Obviously, we were both on the same treble, so as Galopin fell, we were obviously playing, he got up okay, and then we just wanted Bob to jump the last, didn't we? I can see Galopin going up in trip. I think they'll try and learn to get him to settle a bit better. Because they've got Allaho, haven't they, for the Ryanair, unless they send Galopin there and try and get Allaho crack at the Gold Cup.
I mean, Galopin's got Gold Cup written all over him. I think it would be an absolute travesty. He'll go to the Gold Cup eventually, whether it's this season or next. I think it would be, I'd be really disappointed actually if he went anywhere other than the Gold Cup. I think he's got the quality that you need for a Gold Cup horse. So that if he was mine, that would be where I'd want him to go for sure. And just, sorry, I'm just going on. You haven't even.
I was coming to you next.
Hopefully, they won't take it.
Just to add on to what you were saying, John, about the time, and yes, that's obviously, that's a credit to Bob, but really that's we know that's obviously because Galopin took them along at such a rate and was jumping so fantastically that's why Bob's notched up that time. And whilst Bob is a very good jumper, he's a very, very good horse. I love him. I love most of the horses that Rachel rides. I think she has a fantastic relationship with them. But the reason he was under pressure was because Galopin was just so outstanding. I actually think it's one of the best performances we saw all week, even though he didn't finish the race, which really says something. And for a novice to be that impressive is, it's mega. I really think he should go to the Gold Cup.
Yeah, he actually jumped the fence fine, didn't he? He just knuckled on.
Yeah. It's such a shame because his jumping is outstanding. So real shame that he fell at the last. And I mean, I had to watch the replay to see how Bob finished, because I just ran to see, oh my God, is he up okay? Because you could see that his reins were, I think he'd got one of his legs caught in the reins or something. And, people are celebrating. And I mean, I backed Bob, but that was not the most important thing about the end of that race. It was if that horse got up okay, because he's a treasure for National Hunt Racing.
Yeah, it was right in front of where I was watching it, and it looked like his leg had gone at one point. But like you say, it was just the rain.
I was so worried, yeah. but thankfully he's okay and he lives
yeah.
to fight another season.
Alex, what are your thoughts on it?
Pretty similar to what everybody said already, to be honest. What a performance without winning that Galopin put in. I think he was 11 or 12 lengths ahead when he fell.
Yeah, 12.
He was only going to extend that as well.
Yeah.
So, just a monster, isn't he? Just obviously looking forward to seeing where they both go from here. Same as what everybody else has said, really.
Yeah, Ian.
Yeah, the only thing I can describe, see, everyone's described about the race, it was just a weird atmosphere. I was standing next to my friend. I looked at him because I wanted to cheer. I looked at him and he just went, no, it weren't the right time. But obviously because of what happened, and I was pleased and financially pleased. But yeah, it was just, Galpin's just a monster, isn't it? So it has to go Gold Cup, be 7 next year, and potentially could be with somebody we'll discuss some of the other horses. It could potentially be a cracking Gold Cup next year. But yeah, I think everyone else has covered it for me, to be honest.
I mean, when you look at how well, I know we're not doing the Gold Cup just yet, but when you look at how well A Plus Tard won, and then you look at how well Galopin jumps, like it's that matchup alone, you know, aside from all of the other entries, would be a sight to behold.
Got Monkfish to come back.
Yeah, the forgotten horse almost.
Yeah.
Happy to move on to the attempts.
Go for it, mate.
Yeah. Ian, we'll start with you then.
Yeah, a bit of I think from the review video we previously done, I think a couple of the horses I picked, Sporting John and Mars Harper, neither of them run, but I did have one called What's Not to Know that came 7th, and on the day I did back Alaphilippe, but yeah, lost by a neck by 25 to 1 shot by a third win, but yeah, it was a tough one. I think you backed him, Matty, didn't you?
Yeah. I mentioned him on the show. The other ones I mentioned was Course Rain, obviously on the day finished 8th, and the other one was Tully Bag. He wasn't very good, but no, I was cheering home third wind.
Yeah,
as soon as he went in, it got me looking later along the card. But when the steward's inquiry bell went off, I was heart in mouth for a second. But
you just see Paddy Brennan.
Oh, he was top
class. Credit to horse racing.
Yeah,
absolute credit. And so he didn't complain. Said he wasn't affected, wasn't hampered, and the results did. But yeah, he's an absolute gent. But yeah, inside I was gutted. But yeah, many of the shocks that there was in the handicaps this year. But yeah, so a 7th and a 2nd for me from our picks.
Fair enough. Alex.
My selection list didn't run very well. Cider Burley finished 11th under a pretty heavy weight, and then he went and won at Aintree and beat the Stayers Hurdle winner. So
yeah, you were just a festival in advance. That's all.
I'm not really sure how that will happen, but yeah, just as Ian said, I mean, Paddy was class, wasn't he? In that steward's room, he could have really sort of. Well, you used every trick in the book to get the race, but he didn't. Yeah, I mean, it's a tough race, isn't it, Pertemps? It's always hard to find the winner. And Alaphilippe, I thought, would have been a deserving winner as well for Fergal. Would have been his first festival winner, but wasn't to be. And as you say, I followed Cider Burley 1 race too early.
Jonathan?
Yeah, the note I made was exactly what Alex said then. I mean, how didn't Cider Burley win this off that mark when he's gone and won at the weekend? That's racing for you, isn't it, I guess? Yeah, he ran a bit of a strange race. I was watching it back earlier and I don't know, really. I know he seems to get outpaced a little bit, but he normally stays on, doesn't he? But he didn't seem to do that in the race. But yeah, I suspect the winner and the second were both very, very well handicapped, and third win did it well in the end and deserved his win. My pick, I think I picked 2 for this. First one was very disappointing, and that was Dunboyne, who sort of started off at the back and finished at the back. He didn't really get into the race at all, which was a bit of a surprise. But my other horse, Honest Vic, he came swinging 2 out. I think he got 2.5 lengths ahead, and I was like getting ready to celebrate already. And Yeah, his run just petered out and he clattered the last, but he did get a place in 5th in the end with the extra places. So I was quite happy with his run. I mean, he was 40-1, so he ran a decent race.
Yeah, I think the rain coming down on the Wednesday really helped the third win.
I was just reading about Side de
Warren?
Burley. Sorry, it just says trainer said Gelding was unsuited by the soft ground, which in his opinion was riding tacky. So it may have been the
He'd won a
Side de
Cheltenham on
Burley.
soft ground before.
Yeah.
I get that. He has so much rubbish, Elliot, doesn't he?
Lauren, what are your thoughts on that race?
Well, how did you, if he was your selection, wasn't he, third win? So how did you, and if that was so far in advance, how did you manage to come to that? Because
I didn't back him until the day.
Okay, fine.
I waited until the rain arrived.
Yeah, so that's my only reason for backing him. But I think when it rained as much as it did on the Wednesday, I mean, I was soaked through. Like, me and my dad looked at each other at one point, and I think my dad bent his arm, and water was like coming out of his elbow. We were absolutely sodden, like wet through. And when things like that happen, you have to learn from it, and everything that all the research that you've put in advance, just chuck that out the window and take the day as it comes. And so the rain is the sole reason why I backed third wind. I think if anybody tipped him up going into the race, then you're a bit of a magician, because I don't think he had form that would have said.
The only thing that brought my attention to him was he was racing off the same mark.
Okay.
He was fourth behind Side de Burley when he went a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Okay.
And then it was, once the rain come, that was it. It was right now. Need to back.
Yeah. Well, I didn't. So I don't normally look at the handicaps until quite late on. Anyway, I like to. The way I kind of structure my bets is that I'll chuck like 5, 6, 7 plus into bets and not have to stake very much. But if one of them will come off one day and it'll win me 350,000, and that'll be it. So I don't really look at the handicaps until the day before, and then when the rain came, I just thought, well, third wind has got to have a good shout. So yeah, that was what
I was just gutted with the exactors that we were doing when we were down there. I put third wind in, and the lads all keen on Alex Galpin, but not one of them picked him.
Yeah.
Terrible.
It's not it's one of those races though, isn't it? It's, fiddly to get into, finishing top 6.
I couldn't hear you.
It's one of those races, isn't it? It's, you've got to finish in the top 6 to qualify. Would you keep the race moving forward, or?
Yeah, I mean,
5 days, you mean?
Can't go to 5 days.
Won't be long.
See, it was a when, not an if.
Yeah, I mean, you could tweak the qualifying rules, couldn't you? I suppose, and maybe only 3 qualify from a qualifier instead of 6. Then at least horses are trying a bit harder in some of the qualifiers. Then.
Yeah, possible. Yeah.
Rather than scraping in 6 and then go on to win it.
Yeah, that happens too often, doesn't it? Really.
Scrape in 6th, come down in the handicap a couple of pounds, and then run at the festival on a better mark.
Yeah. Well, maybe they could do something with that.
Yeah. Right, we'll move on to the Ryanair, where Allaho, very impressive, winning by 14 lengths to John and Dylan second.
You just said it, mate. I feel like that describes the race.
Yeah.
Move on.
Who's your favourite horse? Got to start with you.
Allaho, oh yeah, he was my favourite horse last year when he won me an absolute shit ton, but this year I only had him in a few little things. I didn't go mega on him. But he was just impressive, wasn't he? Just great to see when he's in that sort of form, just jumping those fences, ping.
Interesting.
Not much else to say from me.
Interesting that you didn't go in on him if he is one of your favourites, and surely he was, he was in the treble of the kind of banker of the meeting, I guess, wasn't he? So
yeah, I tried not to go in on him because he was the last leg last time. And I didn't want to tempt fate twice, so. But no, he's just great to watch, isn't he, when he's in full flight. John.
Well, yeah, like we said on the videos, he was the nap of the meeting, and it proved that really. Like he mentioned then that Janadil ran a decent race in second. I mean, I had him in some place hackers, which brought home a bet on that, which was quite nice, with a couple from the day before. There wasn't a lot else in it, to be perfectly honest, and just hopefully there'll be a bit more competition next season at this level, because he'll win it again. Otherwise, only it's going to be another shoe in, isn't it? Unless something comes out of the woodwork and gives him a race, like. But yeah, there's not a lot else to say. Hey, well, yeah, you never know, do you?
I suppose Bob could come here if they stuck to fences with him.
Quite possibly, yeah.
I think they are sticking to fences with Bob. I don't see any reason to go back to hurdles, but I think he's been entered into one of the 3 mile races at Punch. I can't think of it now, but I'm sure I've seen that he's been entered into a race at Punchtown that would mean stepping up in trip.
So that's more or less goal.
That might be the. Well, I mean, Punchtown is a good time of the year to kind of. He's not an unbeaten horse. You can kind of do a bit of jiggery pokery, I guess, and work out where he might go next year. So I guess that's a good use of Punchestown, really.
Yeah. Anyone else got anything to say on the Ryanair, or do you want to just move on?
No, the only thing is Allaho's already 2-1 next year.
Yeah, he's in one of my
2-1.
Yeah, just throw him in.
Yeah. But yeah, so no, I think for what I predicted happened. I said Janadil would come second, even though he was like 14 lengths behind Allaho, but he was just outstanding. Led all the way. I think made a slight mistake at the last, but nothing was going to catch him. Nothing was going to beat him. It was, I don't know, just a fantastic performance. But as you guys say, I think he would probably win it again next year.
I think just a word for Eldorado Allen as well, who was, he was third in the end, but he only lost second because he tried to sort of almost stick with Allaho. I thought it was a really good effort to track a leader like that, who we know jumps so well and makes all at the pace that he does. So I think it's at 14-1, he's worth a little mention. Well done, Eldorado.
Yeah. I think if he'd have been ridden a little bit more patiently, he might have finished a little bit closer.
Yeah.
Stayers hurdle. Flooring Porter first, Time Hill second, and the old boy Paisley Park staying on to get third. Alex.
I hated this race when we previewed it. I said I hate it. I can't work it out. I hate it just as much now.
What?
I know.
Why?
Well, look how the form's worked out. Flooring Porter's got beaten by a horse that finished 11th in the Potemps.
No, I mean that's I don't think you can crab Flooring Porter for finishing second to Cider Burley last week after the way he won at Cheltenham. It was possibly
He was very impressive at Cheltenham. It was a good rub at Danny Munnins, wasn't it? Like, led almost the whole way, gave him a little bit of a breather coming down the hill, and then he went away again, didn't he? Coming up to the line, but I just hate this race. Sorry.
Okay, move on. Next,
right, we'll go to Ian next. Then.
Yeah, well, I backed Champ and disappointing again, finishing fourth, and say Flooring Porter was very impressive. It's a good guy, led all the way, won by 2 3/4 lengths in the end. It's probably Time Hill's best performance of the season, finishing second, believe it or not. But and Paisley Park was again just seems to find something right in the end to come out and finish third. I think it was a nose behind Time Hill, but Flooring Porter was impressive. I was torn whether to back him or not on the day, and I've thought better. Believe it or not, I've done Royal Kahala, but which was a big mistake. But my picks are very disappointing. But Flooring Porter was can't let him have a lead on it. He'll just go on and go on and go on, and it proved he did. So impressive.
Lauren, your thoughts on the racing, since you're completely against Alex's views?
I honestly thought this was possibly the most, other than the Champion Hurdle, because I'm one of the world's biggest honeysuckle fan. I have to say one of, because lots of people will claim to be her biggest fan. I mean, it's me really, but let's say one of. aside from the champion hurdle, this was my favourite race of the week. I thought the performance on Flooring Porter was absolutely exceptional. Him as a horse, the way that he sets the fractions that he does, but the performance of Danny Mullins, like that was a serious ride. If you look at the there's a video that when Ruby was doing the analysis and how he actually switched, he had both hands on one of the reins after, I think it was after the last, to make sure that he was straight up the hill, because he knows that he's a little bit quirky and that, you know, if he sees something, he might go and dart off in one direction or another. But the pull at the top of the hill, like the way he sat them all up, everything about it was inch perfect. I thought it was absolutely exceptional. And to see Paisley Park finish the way he did was, you know, Paisley, everybody in Britain loves Paisley. He's just one of those that is, you know, a bit of a household name now. But I really thought he was past it. So I thought it was really nice to see him finish so well. And then my other selection, like you, Ian, was actually Royal Kahala, who I thought was running quite well, but just couldn't find anything. I'm not really sure what to make of that performance, to be honest. But
like you said in what he said about the rain that we had on the Wednesday, Royal Kahala had the perfect conditions and just didn't run any sort of race at all. But that was kind of my thinking as well, is soft to heavyish ground. Perfect.
Well, I was trying to sort of, I love Flooring Porter, but he's got that kind of quirk to him. So I think I guess my excuse for not being all in on him, and I'm not going to make that mistake next year, is that I was, you know, if we're not very good at starting races in this country, especially at Cheltenham. So if the starter didn't do his job properly and the race didn't get away as Flooring Porter would have liked it to, I was trying to have another option just in case that went down. But yeah, she just didn't perform at all, did she? So
yeah, I mean, I put Florian Porter as the most likely winner when we did it, and I had a token bet on Paisley on the day. I think you're right about Danny Mullins or Florian Porter. If he hadn't have judged it how he did and he'd have kicked too early, the way Paisley was finishing, if he'd have gone harder earlier instead of getting that breather into him, could have been a different outcome.
Oh, I don't think so. I don't think anything was going to beat Flooring Porter that day. I just think it was one of those.
He jumped brilliant. Danny gave him a great ride.
Yeah.
John, we were obviously on time for a Yankee, weren't we? But
yeah, I know. I do agree on Danny's. It was a great ride on Flooring Porter, but I also think he was given a little bit of a freebie up front for much of the race. Knowing that he is quirky, I was surprised nobody tried to take him on a little bit and just see if he did, you know, make an error somewhere or run out, or, you know, because he has done these things in the past. So I do think that he did get a bit of a freebie. Yeah. My pick was Time Hill. He ran a nice race in second, but again, he was outpaced, stayed on. And I just think he's becoming a little bit of a hard horse to win with at this level now. He might always be the bridesmaid, you know, and he just doesn't seem to, you know, be able to beat these top ones on the main day, really. I know he won at Aintree last year, but then, you know, he didn't run too great there at the weekend, did he? Of the others, I thought Champ and Classical Dream were very poor on the day, really. I think they were 4th and 5th. I think that both of them need to be fresh on the day. I think maybe they both had one run too many this season. Classical Dream just seems to be better when he just comes out of nowhere, and, you know, he's had almost a year off the track and come back and won, hasn't he? And I think that's the best way to ride him now, and I think Willie will do that next year. And yeah, it was good to see Paisley come in third as well. You know, everyone's got a soft spot for Paisley, so it was good he got a place. But yeah, it was a good race. It was a decent race.
We've been to everyone.
Yes, right.
Yeah, I like the race. I don't have a big bet in the race, but it's a great race to watch. Right, we'll move on to the plate. Paul Cody winning. Ariel Alcazar second, and Spirit of the Games third. Lauren, come to you first.
Yeah, so Cody was one of those that I didn't back Paul Cody. He was my only non-winner of the day, I'm happy to say. Just looking through it now, I think I might have had a small bet on Adramel because of the rain factor. I thought he tied in with, if the fact that Third Wind had won made me think, well, it's going to be heavy, the softish heavy out there. So that was why I went with Adramel. And then I think the Glancing Queen was my main bet in that race, but once I could see that my selections had no chance, I was actually really cheering for Cool Cody. So I'm a member at Cheltenham, and having watched him there back in November and December, the way he just loves those fences, and it's a real joy. I think it's such a joy to watch a front runner really enjoy themselves out there, and that's what he did, and that's why he won, really. But having said that, generally when a horse gets alongside him up front and challenges him for that lead, he doesn't like it, and he kind of folds a little bit. So I thought I was actually even more impressed than I have been with him previously, because who was it? Was it Imperial Alcazar that came up alongside him?
Yeah, second, yeah.
And I actually think that encouraged Cody to say, well, hang on a minute, this is my race and you're not having any of it. And obviously then went on and won by about 5 or 6 lengths, was it?
6.5.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed watching him, and what price at 22 to 1, if anybody managed to get that on the day, that was a steal.
Yeah, I backed two of mine. I wanted to come. He was Our Power and Bustleton, both didn't come. So on the day I backed Imperial Alcazar to win, and then this is why you should and shouldn't bet when you've had a beer. Tristan, one of the lads down there that we know, he said to me, "You've got to back Cool Cody. You always back him." And I was like, "Oh no."
My dad said,
blah blah blah. Leathered in the Guinness Village, William Hill, backed him. So it's one of those, but shouldn't really have done it when I had a beer. John?
Well, my main choice was Fusel Raffles and was a non-runner on the day, so sort of that paid to that. I, like Lauren, went for the Glancing Queen. I thought she'd like the ground, and I thought she was on a good weight, but I think she finished back in 7th and was sort of just a reasonable run, really, never really got into it. The winner did it well, and looking at course and distance form, it was a stick out, really. We should have all been on this one looking back. But
we really should.
I know, it's just I was like kicking myself at the end because I backed it a few times as well there, and it was a good ride from Wedgie, and it was the age, I think, that put me off, to be honest with you. But that's another thing for next year. Looking forward, don't let the age put you off. So yeah, I've taken that out of it.
For anybody who hasn't realised, I'm not sure when this is going out, I might be ruining it because it might have been yesterday or today by the time this goes out, but Cool Cody is running at Cheltenham tomorrow, and I am going. I think he will have gone up in the weights, won't he? But he does love those fences. So
yeah, great horse when he's on it. Ian?
I too backed Imperial Alcazar, so sadly another second for Fergal and Paddy. But like Johnny said, when we was talking about looking at handicaps, and I think that was probably one of the first things that put me off, was Cool Cody 11, scribbled off. But you look at his record at Cheltenham's outstanding. I think the last couple, granted, maybe I think he finished 8th and 4th or 5th, but
top weight that day.
Yeah, but before that, he won at least 2 or 3 there. He always just seems to run at Cheltenham, doesn't run anywhere else. But I think my other pick I had was Vienna Court that didn't run in the race. But no, as you say, another front runner goes off in front on the softer ground and wins again at a big price. It just seemed to be a theme on the Thursday. But yeah, another second for me, sadly, with Imperial Alcazar.
Alex?
I'm also gutted I didn't back Cool Cody. I've backed him so many times over the years. He's always one I always stick in an exacta or play spot or something like that. The one I did back, Stolen Silver, was 4th. I thought he was a bit inconvenienced by the softer going. I was hoping to get good soft ground when I put the bet on and when I selected him. But I mean, as I say, ran well, finished 4th. His form tied in with Editor G, who was also 4th on the Tuesday in the Grand Annual. Wednesday in the Grand Annual.
Wednesday.
I'll definitely be following him next time out as well, Stolen Silver. But yeah, it was great to see Cool Cody win.
And that's everyone that race, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll move on to the Ryanair Mares Novice Hurdle. And we will kick off with John.
Yeah, it was a surprising result here. I had mentioned the winner, Love Envoi, on the preview, along with the fourth place Nurse Susan as being the threats from sort of this side of the water. And she did it well, to be fair. I think she'll be a good one to follow next season going forward. They probably won't. They probably both will be, actually. The disappointments were Dino Blue, who just she was just far too fresh in the early stages. And I was surprised by the tactics on her, really, because she was never going to get home running like that. She needed to be sort of tucked away somewhere, running off the front. And I think they'll learn a bit from that race. I suspect that the two who didn't make it, Brandy Love and Allegory Devassi, may be at least on a par with the winner, possibly better. But obviously both didn't make it through injury. So I'll be looking forward to them next season. But yeah, the winner did it well, and it's one to keep in the tracker, I think.
Yeah, I think Owen mentioned the winner, didn't he, on the preview as well?
Yeah,
I think
I said for it to be like if it was an each way price. I think it went off at 15-2 in the end, but it wasn't my initial pick to win. But I said it was like
I sort of went. Mine, Allegory Devassi, didn't make it, did she? Then on the day, I sort of did what Lauren said to do. You just got to go with the weather, and I had the token bet on November because of what OJ said in the soft ground. But
the previous three races were wins. Well, she's unbeaten for a start, but the previous three were all on heavy, so it was a must really on the day.
Yeah, we'll come to Lauren. We'll go to you next then.
Yeah, so I, like you, I did back Love Envoi on the day. I didn't actually put too much research into the race in advance. You know, like you guys have mentioned, there are a couple of sort of standout names, let's say, if you can say that in a mare's novice race that didn't end up going in the end. I thought Statuaire was going to be better than she was kind of earlier on in the season, but it sort of hasn't ended up that way. But I wouldn't rule her out of anything going up into open company next season. But yeah, it was the ground that really swayed me to Love Envoi, and I managed to do a ridiculous bet on the day, which was to double Love Envoi with the winner of the last race. Something that I've never done before. I don't know why I did it. I don't even back 40-1 shots ever in my life, so I don't know why I put them in a double, but
you do now.
Purely the ground. That's all I was basing it on. So
yeah, John, Ian.
I too, like John, backed Dino Blue and say very disappointing coming in ninth, and I think Mark Walsh is like literally gripping on for dear life at one point, trying to keep her back, but just to say she was just far too keen. As in, we said about Love Envoi was a nice price I got. And the other one I've made a note for, the horse was second. I know it's a Henderson horse, shock, but 50-1, a horse with no name, just a length of the quarter just behind. And I thought that quite big price was quite eye catching and one to take out. But majorly disappointed with Dino Blue. Sorry, Lauren.
Terrible name for a horse.
A horse.
Whose name's
the song?
Terrible.
Alex, you got anything to say?
Nothing really to add other than what everybody else has said. I wasn't particularly keen on Love Envoi before the race. Didn't really think it had much of a chance, but completely surprised me, and I'm really keen on it now for next year. The one I did like before the race was Nina the Terrier. I thought she was quite overpriced, but as soon as the rain came, her chance went for the previous day. So I think she's run since and was second on better ground. So Not saying she'd have won, but I was hoping she'd run into a place. But yeah, 11 Envoy was amazing.
Right, we'll go to the Kimyo and we'll go to Lauren since she's on Chambord 40 to 1.
Yeah, so I was coming up to this race and needed I'd done my place pot in advance, needed Mr. Fog Patches to finish in 5th to land the place pot, and he was sick by 3/4 of the length.
Oh no.
So, but you know, let's not feel too sorry for me, because as I said, I did do the double with Love Envoy and Chambord. So yeah, really, really pleased with that one. Again, purely because the ground, the Venetia factor, hers like it soft and heavy. So that was the only reason I went for it, and really enjoyed shouting at home.
Yeah, I agree. I was the same. I picked out Smoking Gun earlier, but then on the day, Chambord, I'd messaged the lads that had asked me for something in the last.
Brilliant.
Which went on it. I think Alex got on it, and we were in the Guinness Village going mental. So that's after timing, so I'll move away from that. Okay, Alex, we'll come to you.
Okay. I was on Chambord too. Not because of any specific form studying. I had a few beers and I gave my mate 20 quid to put a bet on, and he said on who, and I said, oh, number 20, because I just didn't care at that point.
No.
We then walked into the Guinness Village, spoke to Matty, and he said, oh, who have you back for this race? And I went, oh, number 20, something called Chambord. He was like, oh, I'm on it too. So the three of us at the end of the race, me, Matty, and Chiz, the three of us were the only ones in the whole of the village that probably backed it. We were cheering ourselves, we were going mad, weren't we, Matty?
Yeah, I did 3 bet on him, and a single as well, and more, and I had a beer. Yeah,
That's
quite nice end to the
amazing.
day, like.
That was great fun.
And one of the lads had messaged me as well, and I'd messaged him to say, oh, like Chambord in the last, but he thought I meant tomorrow on the Friday.
Oh.
No.
I mean, you did have to scroll a fair way down the race card to find Chambord, so you can sort of forgive him for that, but
yeah.
That's a killer.
The one that I
That's
tipped up
done
for
and
this race
dusted.
on the preview night finished second in the Ultima. So,
Oh,
wow. Yeah, that was
You put Jericho Rock up for this, didn't you?
yeah, Jericho Rock. That's who it was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you were
and
very
then
keen
the
on that.
Ultima,
if you could be.
yeah, it was a
Um,
great race, wasn't it? The Kimya.
well, my picks were absolutely terrible. Front of the salt pulled up, and I picked one called And That Shane that comes Stonewall last. So I'm very pleased with you guys with your Chambord, but my Kimya was absolutely terrible. But yeah, not much I can say about that, to be honest. Say Chambord again. You look at, it's probably another one you'd look at is 10 years old, and you may only look at maybe because of the ground, but otherwise I probably wouldn't have give it a second glance or a second look at.
Yeah, I would say
literally looked at
It's
him.
crazy.
It was the ground, and he's a strong traveller, and I was like, that'll do.
yeah, you wouldn't have found it looking in advance thinking, oh, it's a spring festival, it's going to be good, you know, soft at worst.
Did he run like 4 days before as well? Something like that.
Did he?
I think so.
Oh, I'll have a look now for it. I know it ran recently before it. It ran
Henderson had another
6th
second.
of March it ran. It ran the 7th.
11 days before. Yeah, it was the
It ran the
Sunday
9th of-
previous.
ran
Yeah,
the
one
9th
before that.
Feb, 17th of Feb, 6th of March, 17th of March.
That was the
Actually,
6th running this calendar year.
That's
and now
crazy.
that you look at it, I've done poor Chambord a complete disservice. 1-1-1-2-2-1 this year, so absolutely could have been found.
Especially on that ground, that's what drew me to him. Like that morning.
My real enjoyment out of the winner, not just because I'd done the double, but was because I was in the queue for a chicken burger earlier in the day. You know, you just get the chicken burgers at Cheltenham are exceptional. That was like my nap of the day. Go and have a chicken burger. But you know, you just get it's great at Cheltenham because you find, you know, you instantly got something in common with everybody that you chat to. I was chatting to a few. The queue was a mile long, and it was just before the mare's novice race. So I was thinking, well, I wonder if I've actually got time to get this and eat it and watch the race. I didn't in the end. Came out the queue, but a few guys behind me, and we ended up chatting. And they weren't really into. They liked the races, you know, obviously enough to be there, but I think they were more there for the day out and the booze. And I said I was really into it and that I was on a podcast every so often. So they said, oh, well, we're not really doing that well today. Have you got any tips? And I said, I actually gave them Chambard. I mean, it's not like I would never have tipped it up on the podcast in advance because I honestly wouldn't have looked that far down the list. And I said, you know, Venetia Williams' horses like it soft. I was just trying to give a bit of education around the reasoning behind I think he was 33-1 at that point. And I always stand at the second place post in the parade ring. So I said, well, if it doesn't win, I'll be over. I pointed to where we were. I'll be over there afterwards, so you can come and find me and, you know, have what for. So after the race, not only was I elated with the fact that I'd just pulled off this ridiculous double, the three guys were at the top of the stairs as I came back, and we had this massive celebration together. It was just the best thing.
That's brilliant.
And I think lots of people around us were like, surely this lot haven't backed this horse. Nobody's backed this horse. So I can imagine that's what you guys were like in the Guinness Village as well. Brilliant.
I need to know more about this chicken burger.
Very, very good chicken burger.
Where from?
Expensive, but would definitely recommend. It's the van just at the top of the parade ring, literally always there, every single
by the sea then.
That's the one.
Okay. I'll remember that for next year.
Yeah, I wasn't on the Chambard train, and this was I somehow missed out. They didn't tell me about this, so I think I realised that they were all on it, sort of a couple of fences in, perhaps, and I heard the name mentioned. But yeah, I was, like Ian, very disappointed with my pick, Frontal Assault. I think he hit the fourth hard and then was pulled up, just didn't get into the race again at all. I don't think Elliot's handicap has run particularly well during the week, apart from Commander of Fleet, really. I think a lot of them were way below par, so whether there was something wrong or something amiss, I don't know. Or maybe the ground, I'm not sure really. But yeah, I don't think he'd be very happy because he sent a load there with real good chances and a lot of them just didn't perform. But yeah, I think I need to rewatch the race back actually to see if there's anything to take out of that race, because I don't think I've watched it since the day. So yeah, the winner did it well. Again, he was one of the older horses, and don't discount them.
Yeah,
he's also running tomorrow. I think he's in the same race as Cool Cody. 4-1 at the moment. What a difference!
Alex, what's the weather like in Cheltenham?
Dry at the moment.
Cool Cody. Anything else to take out of day 3? Anyone? Would you stand out, take forward anything?
As funny as it sounds, probably Galopin de Champs, I think, after falling, but it was so impressive leading up to then. I think you have to take it out and one for next year. But yeah, some of the older horses that won the handicaps, maybe going on 11 and 12, not so sure, but maybe Florian Porter again. And it might sound a bit obvious, but yeah, it'd be Galopin for me. That's who I'd take out.
Yeah, I think he's the most obvious one to take out, isn't he? He'd have won if he hadn't knuckled quite easily. We'd have all been having a different conversation of going into next season and beating. He's not made a mistake, So yeah, he'd be the one for me. John, anything else to take out?
Apart from the obvious ones, I'd take out Love Envoi, to be honest with you. I thought she was impressive, and when the ground's very soft or testing, then I think she's a force to be reckoned with. So that's the one I'll take out of the day.
Yeah, Love Envoi is one of them that you wouldn't really get stuck into properly on Ante-Post, would you? With being the ground dependent.
No.
Would you? Alex?
One I'm taking out of the day would probably be Stolen Silver, who, funny enough, runs tomorrow in that Cool Cody race.
Lauren?
Yeah, I'd probably say Love Envoi. Again, potentially ground dependent, as lots of these winners probably are, but as the winners go, aside from Florian Porter and Allaho, the kind of obvious ones, I think she'll be a really nice mare next year. And I've just completely misinformed everyone. Obviously, Chambard isn't in the same race as Cool Cody because Chambard runs over more than 3 miles, and Cool Cody's a 2.5 mile horse. So, but they're both running tomorrow anyway. Study the cards yourself. Don't rely on me.
Post-festival double for you off Lauren. All right, that'll conclude day 3 then, and we'll be back shortly with day 4.